Welcome back to another episode of your Office On podcast. I'm your host, Martha. Matter of fact, I'm your beautiful host, Martha, and it's good to see you back. I hope that you guys enjoyed the last episode. I know that it was a little bit longer than normal, but I'm glad that you enjoyed it, and I'm glad that you're back. And today we're actually going to talk about body language. This is a fun one for me because I do this all day long. What I mean by that is that I watch people's body language all day long, the way they talk, the way they speak, the way they move, the way they even like when I people watch, I watch body language. And I find it so intriguing. It is so much fun. I've actually watched videos of FBI agents doing body language. And I find that body language is just so impressive that I call it the unspoken language because personal body cues are like an unspoken language. We are actually majority of the time speaking with our body more than we're speaking with our mouth. So I could be sitting in a room and if I'm agitated, my body should indicate that I'm agitated. Unless I'm a good manipulator, then you wouldn't even know. But that was just an example. But it's like if you're people watching, like say if you're sitting in an airport and you're people watching and you watch people walk by and you see people talking and you look at a couple, all right? Here's a good example. You look at a couple and you see that he's being endearing and she's being endearing and they're all into it. That even though we can't hear what they're saying and what kind of conversation they're having, we can tell that they are impressed by each other, that they love each other or they care enough for each other by the body language, by the way they're sitting close to each other, by the way they're holding each other, by the way they're kissing. I find it funny because sometimes I get online and I'll watch celebrities, and usually I'm always right. And I watch their relationships. I watch their relationships from the beginning until either the end or maturation, right? And sometimes I will look at a relationship and I will watch them in celebrity world, watch them go to a Met Gala or watch, whatever they're at, whatever they're doing, right? And I watch their body language in public. And you can see those who fake it to make it, those who are genuine, and those who are literally trying to keep it together while they're on the red carpet, right? And sometimes I will take the time to actually go through different pictures and watch body language behavior or even videos. Watch body language behavior and how it transitions or how it presents itself throughout the duration of their relationship. And most times, I can tell by body language if a relationship is going to survive or not. And I'll tell you what, most of the time I'm right. Okay. So that's a good example of what I'm talking about. And I just love body language because it's a language that no one talks about. And most people don't even pay attention. I mean, FBI agents and cops and interrogators, they know what to look for, right? But how about educating yourself on what to look for? Because the cues are always there. And I want to talk about it just a little bit because I'm getting really excited because I love body language. And there's times, I'll give you an example of myself. There's times where I'm talking to people or someone and I go like this. Well, this stance doesn't always mean that you're turned off or you don't want to talk or you're being defensive. Sometimes it means that you're soothing yourself or it means that you're being defensive or standoffish. And sometimes it just means that you're soothing yourself. So the myth behind that is not that you're standoffish. It could be that you're soothing yourself or self-soothing in the moment of distress or anxiety, right? All right. So sometimes when I'm talking to people, I do that stance. And that is for me sometimes standoffish and sometimes self-soothing. Like if I'm around somebody who makes me nervous, let's just say a boss, which I really don't have bosses that make me nervous, but I'm just giving an example. Majority of the time we all do this, right? Oh yeah, yeah. And that is an indicator that you are distressed or protecting yourself or full of anxiety. Okay. So that is what I'm talking about. It's so exciting. So the three things of body language is facial expression, gestures, and posture. Okay. And you can actually manipulate your body to indicate something that you are feeling. So say like if I want to feel confident, okay? I stand up tall, I put my chest out, and I walk just like I got it going on, right? And so your body starts to feel like you got it going on. That is body language. I cannot tell you how many times I've walked into the room full of anxiety, but because I stood up tall, put my arms back, and just acted like I was confident, the whole room thought I was confident. And that is body language. So let's get into it, okay? Because I'm so excited about it. And I've been waiting for this conversation because I've been doing the study on it, right? Like I've been writing down notes, and I'm like, okay, so what should I talk about, and what am I going to give out there? And it's going to be fun, okay? So I want to break it down for you first, and while I break it down for you, then we'll get into like different interpretations and context on it, okay? So there's three types of body language. There's facial expressions, gestures, and posture, okay? Facial expressions are all right here. Sometimes you guys out there with the resting bee face may not give any facial expression, but even then, that facial expression is expressing something. People with the resting bee face literally are giving off the energy of don't fuck with me, or don't bother me, or I'm not interested. And if you really look at the individual, it may not be that they're not interested. It may be something else going on. So they give off that face so that you can leave them alone so they can deal with whatever is going on inside. My daughter, she has a resting bee face. And there's times where I'm in the car and I'm like, hey, what's up with the face? Oh, what? And I'm like, that it's just giving off, don't mess with me. No, I'm fine. I'm fine. Okay. Okay. So we communicate that. But that is another example of facial expressions, right? So when we're mad, we're smiling. When we're mad, we're frowning, right? We're just a miserable face. When we're happy, we're smiling. We're giving off that vibration. And when we're surprised, we're like, oh my gosh. And then you have to, if you're watching these movements on people's faces, they will speak to you, okay? Like, say if you're having a conversation with somebody and they roll their eyes. Yeah, just roll your eyes and you just look at them like, what is that all about? That is a place where you can say that's a facial expression of being annoyed or not interested in the conversation or distasteful with the conversation, okay? That's another example. All right. So gestures. Gestures are like waving, pointing, elbow bump, shoulder bumping. Those are gestures, right? And those can be conveyed into messages as well. Like if I'm pointing at something, you know that you either look over there or it's a message to you to go over there, right? Exactly. So that's an example. And then you have posture, which we just talked about, which would be like if you stand in, back up, you're walking in confidence, people believe that you're confident. And you also believe that you're confident. But if you're lumped over, you got the sad face, people believe that you are just sad, or you are sad. You're giving off the sad vibe, right? Like you're, or depressed, or in turmoil of some sort, right? So posture is another way of indicating body language, which is the unspoken truth of languages. I love it. Okay, so now let's get into interpreting body language in different settings. Okay, social settings, um, they differ, right? Because if I go out to a club and I'm all hyped up, but I'm feeling nervous inside, you wouldn't be able to tell, right? But if I am sitting in a chair and I'm kind of recluse and I'm just kind of like looking around like I'm scared, what would you think? You would think that I wouldn't want to be there, right? So that's another social cue that is body language of indicating that the person is either uncomfortable or having a good time. Okay. But these social cues and context can be manipulated. That is why you have to pay attention to what they are saying and what their body is doing. Because if they're saying one thing and their body is indicating another, there is an untruth there. Okay. And that's the fun part about body language. If you pay attention, I want you guys to pay attention because it's so much fun. Okay. It's so much fun. And then it's also disheartening too, because then you can see if a partner is lying or a friend is lying, whoever. You can tell when people are being deceptive when you start watching body language, or they're not interested, or, they're just not turned on. I mean, a lot of body language talks so much. Another example, because I find this one really fun. When you're in a relationship, most people sit towards each other, right? Because they want to be closer. They're representing an open space. They're expressing their openness to the other person, right? And normally when there's turmoil or disposition in the relationship, their bodies are turned away. Their arms are crossed and they're giving different facial expressions. Okay. Because I could be having a conversation with you and be like, and yeah, how does that look? Right. It looks fake. It looks like not turned in, just it's a lot of things. So I know I'm going fast in this, but just hang with me. Okay. Hang with me. So the social settings versus formal ones. So like if I'm in a club, you can tell that I'm not comfortable by the way I'm kind of shifty in my chair, fidgety, and just kind of looking around like, oh my gosh, I just want to go home. And then professionally, you can tell someone's uncomfortable by their way of fidgeting. They may not even say or look at you, right? They may just be fidgeting around, just kind of like, oh my gosh, uncomfortableness. But if a person's sitting in their chair, back up, they're looking around confidently, they probably are confident. They're probably indicating to you as a strong presence, right, in the room. Exactly. Because if I see somebody doing that, I'm going to think, damn, that person is real confident. I want to know who that is, right? Exactly. Okay. So, cultural variations. All right. So, cultural variations in body language is very ticky, right? Because some cultures, if you look and stare at somebody, it's disrespectful. And then some cultures, if you look away, it's disrespectful, right? So you have to know these cultural cues. Now, if I'm in a culture that doesn't equal to your culture and you do something that doesn't fly in my culture, I have the responsibility to tell you, hey, that doesn't work in my culture and we don't do those kind of things. Or you learn the culture. Okay. I remember one time I was in my office and I believe this individual was Muslim. I'm not really sure, and I don't want to call that out, but he was of ethnicity. And I went to shake his hand, and he moved his hand back and he said, I can't shake your hand. It's disrespectful or it's part of my culture. And I said, oh, okay. I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't mean to be disrespectful. And he says, oh, no, I just want you to know I can't shake your hand. And I'm assuming that because I was a woman and in his culture, he wasn't supposed to shake a woman's hand. And I respected that, but that is a social cue. That's a cultural variation, right? That's something that we're not aware of, but when they make us aware, then we're like, oh, okay, cool, now I know. So your culture doesn't shake hands for a woman, right? Okay, cool, got it. That's an example of what I'm talking about. So cultural variations may be also the way a woman presents herself. She may need to be covered up and not so much uncovered, right? She may need to be covered up from head to toe and not exposed in certain areas. That's a culture cue, right? It's a body language cue. It's saying, hey, I'm supposed to, in my culture, be covered up, okay? I love that because it makes you expand your mind and it makes you think about what cultures you're not paying attention to or what things you're not paying attention to outside of yourself, okay? So, and then this one, I like this one the most because a lot of people, they don't pay attention. All right. And this one is deception and truthfulness. So, indicators of lying or discomfort, such as avoiding eye contact, fidgeting, or inconsistent facial expressions. I know that most of you know when someone is lying because normally you feel it as a gut reaction or you just know that that person is lying. Okay. For me, it is the eye contact, and for me, it is the fidgeting, and for me, it is the inconsistent facial expressions. Most of the time, when people are lying, they're either looking away, they're not looking at you, they're not giving you eye contact, and they're fidgety and they're moving around because they're not being truthful about something, or they're being deceptive, right? And so, when you know these things, it's easy for you to call them out or not even call them out, just be observant of the behavior, right? And then present it later on. Because I think that sometimes when we find that people are being deceptive or lying, you have to weigh what are they lying about and what are they being deceptive about, right? Because as our culture says it, a white lie is a white lie. Well, I think a white lie can be harmless, but I also think that white lies can turn into darker lies, right? Because if you can get away with a white lie, you'll think you can get away with the dark lie. Okay. So if you don't call someone out in between that deceptiveness, they're capable of doing it again. All right. Now, if you want to learn more about body languages and body cues, I would definitely get online and Google it because it is impressive. I promise. And once you learn it, you'll never unsee it. You'll always be focused well, you may not always be focused, but you will focus on body language after you have learned the cues, right? All right. Now that turns me into using body language effectively. Okay. So building rapport, which means open gestures, smiling, mirroring to establish a connection and trust with others. Okay. Building rapport. That means that, say, like if I'm starting a new job and I'm shaking everybody's hand, if I'm not looking at you when I'm shaking your hand, that is a form of uncomfortableness, nervousness, but you should be shaking and looking, right? Because you want to build trust that, because as you as a new employee are going to do your best job as the best person you are. So if you're shaking someone's hand, look them straight in the eye and make sure that you make eye contact and a little firm grip. Don't suffocate the hand, but a little firm grip, okay? That's building rapport and trust with other people. And also open body language. So if I'm talking to you and I want to get to know you and I'm like this, that is indicating to you that I'm not open to you, right? I'm not open to having the conversation. I've caught myself a couple of times in my relationship where I'm like this, but I really mean to be like this. And I want to be open and receiving, and I catch myself doing it, and I always put my hands down because why are we like this, right? Comfort, soothing. Maybe I'm nervous around my partner, and I usually am. So, like, this is my soothing place, right? So, I always try to catch myself when I put my arms down. So, that's building rapport too, because if somebody knows that you're putting your arms up, and they know that's a form of, a form of comforting or distress, they may open up a little bit more conversation to see if those arms come down and you kind of open up. That's what integrators do. They ask questions, they speak in a certain tone, and they push towards for you to get comfortable in order to get the information out, right? Fun stuff. I'm telling you, it's crazy. It's crazy. Okay, so projecting confidence. We talked about that earlier. Standing tall, appropriate eye contact, and using purposeful gestures to convey self assurance. Which means that if I'm standing tall and I'm talking to you and I'm looking you straight in the eye, I seem and I'm conveying that I'm confident. Correct? Correct. Because you feel that I'm tall and I'm presentable and I'm composed and I'm presenting myself. That's confidence. And that is how you can use that effectively, okay? By portraying that you are, even if you're not. Fake it till you make it, okay? But I'll tell you this, if you're not really good at it, somebody's going to know that you're faking it, all right? So be really good at it. And I'm not telling you to be a manipulator, but really be really good at being confident, okay? Because like myself, I can tell when you're not confident, okay? All right. Moving on. Reading and adapting. So how to read the body language of others and adjust your own nonverbal cues to improve communication relationship outcomes. That's what I just said to you. Remember what I just said, that I was like this with my partner instead, and I wanted to be like this. This is what I wanted to convey. I didn't want to convey this, but I was nurturing myself instead of presenting an open space for conversation. Okay. And that's important because when you're speaking to somebody, you want to turn your body towards them and you want to present yourself towards them so that it's indicating that you're open for the conversation, you're open for the interaction, and you're available, right? But if you move the other way and your gestures are kind of far away, you're looking away and you're not really eye contacting, I promise you that person's going to know that you're not interested in that relationship. Or I'm sorry, not relationship, but interested in that conversation. And that goes for relationships, right? If you learn these body cues, guys and girls, you will actually learn and intake who's really interested and who's not. Okay? Because their body language will give you cues, especially you can tell if they're nervous, right? If you look at a dinner table with two people, you can tell who's nervous, who's in. Normally, when they're at a dinner table, if someone is in towards you, they are interested into you. They want to know more about you. They are now listening actively, right? But if they're stood back and they're like this and they're just listening, not interested looking, they're probably not interested. Okay? I promise you, the cues are going to get better. This conversation is amazing because now I can actually be visual with you and you can actually see what I'm talking about. And if you're online and you're listening to me audio wise, I apologize, but you probably get the gist when I'm talking about it. So just keep up. All right. All right. So nonverbal cues. All right. When we are having nonverbal cues, so let me give you an example. If you're trying to talk to me and my body is this way and I'm towards this way and I'm not focused towards you, but I'm looking at you like this is indicating to you that I'm either not interested, okay, or I'm not open to the interaction, which would be a cue to you to go, hey, you know what? Thank you for your time. Have a nice day, and move on, right? I know that's hard for you guys to freaking do, but try it sometime, okay? Just move on. Stop bothering the people, okay? All right. So, and then let's go on to, okay, so mirroring to establish connection and trust. So, mirroring, which, as you guys know from a past episode, we talked about how mirroring affects each other, right? I may be saying something nice, funny, smiling, and you may smile back. So if I'm mirroring a behavior, you may mirror it back too, right? I think I like to call that the vibe. So if I'm vibing and I'm just hyped up, it makes you feel like you want to get hyped up, right? It makes you feel like you want to get into it, you want to get vocal, and you want to get vibrant. Exactly. That's the mirroring cue, right? You don't even know what's happening, but because I'm smiling and I'm impressive and or I'm expressive and I'm just all out like this, right? You start to feel that energy and you start to go, yeah, that's mirroring. And that's a cue too that you are actually interactive. The person is receiving what you're giving and you guys are vibing off each other. Okay. So that's that body language. We want to vibe off each other and we want to pay attention to the cues, guys. We want to pay attention to how people move. And the reason why I say that is because of this. We can avoid a lot of unnecessary interactions or unnecessary happenings by listening to the unspoken language, which is body language. Okay. It's unspoken. And majority of the time, I would love to say, I forgot the percentage, but I would love to say it's a large percentage of the time that we are not talking with our mouths. We are talking with our bodies. And so even if I'm feeling uncomfortable, you should be able to cue in to my body language that I'm uncomfortable. Even if I'm happy and I don't want to talk about it or I don't want to talk, you should know that I'm happy, but I'm just not giving off. I just don't show it, reflecting it, right? Like reflecting it on my face with a smile. Just like they say with lying, if you're lying with your face, you usually lie with your mouth, which means your facial expression is bland, but your mouth is like this. Mm-hmm. You saw that, right? You saw that. And but when you're telling the truth, it's all facial expressions. You're using all the muscles in your face. It's crazy what you can learn. So guys, I want you to get out there. I want you to learn about body language. All right. And I want to go back and discuss the things that we got, right? So there's three types of body language. There's facial expression, there's gestures, and there's posture. Okay. And all of these are whole body gestures. So majority of the time, if we're not speaking, our body is speaking, which means our foot disposition, our hand position, our smile, our frown, our face, our arms, they're all conveying a language, okay? They're all conveying a conversation. And most of the time, if you're aware of body language or you're aware of the social body language cues, you can be self-aware. You know what type of situation you're getting into. And not everything's a situation. I'm just talking about you know what type of conversation or situation that you may be embedding into, right? Exactly. So, and then gestures. Gestures. Really, guys, gestures. Let's do this. If I'm flirting with you and I go, that's an indicator to you that I'm into it, right? Like I'm feeling it. We're vibing together. Correct? Correct. You and I know that if I wink back to you, it means that I got it, right? Like that's a gesture that I'm talking about. So we got to pay attention to those too, especially if you guys are in a new relationship. I know it's really hard to like read people when you're in a new relationship because there's so many things going on, right? There's so many conversations, there's so many cues, and if you don't slow down enough, you're not going to see them. All of that is true. But if you slow down and you watch them, you will know the nervousness, you will know the happiness, you would know the investment, and you will know the cues, okay? Because people are always talking with their body. There are times now where I literally have to make sure that my body is moving the way I'm talking because sometimes I don't feel a certain way that I'm expressing verbally, but I want to make sure that that feeling is not interrupting my verbal conversation. So I manipulate, and I said the word manipulate, my body language to represent what I'm trying to say out of my mouth. Because say if in my mind I'm tired, right? But I really want to have this conversation with somebody, if I show, like, if I'm like this, I'm like, yeah, blah, 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 blah. That's going to indicate to the person that I'm tired, correct? I may be tired, but I really want to have the conversation. So I stand up, I get into the conversation, I make eye contact, and I'm verbal with you, right? That's a manipulation, but it also is it is a manipulation towards your body and your verbal your verbal communication, right? So you want your body to communicate what you are communicating verbally, but if you are not communicating verbally, your body is speaking louder than your mouth, okay? I want you to get that. Get that in your head. If you are not speaking and say something bothers you, your body will indicate that something is bothering you and it will reflect, okay? So, and then we have posture. When someone is bent over, not really, high postured and standing up and firm, this can indicate a lot of feelings. This can indicate a lot of communication without even saying it. So with people like this, if you know the person, ask them, hey, how are you doing? Are you okay? Is everything all right? What can I do for you? Because a person like that may not be able to verbalize what's going on, right? And then maybe someone asks them, hey, what's going on? Are you okay? How's it going? Maybe they will feel impelled to talk about it, right? We want people to feel better. We want people to stand up like this, and we want people to walk with such confidence and healthy and happy, right? Not everybody's like that. So whenever you see somebody like that, make it a point to say, hey, you good? How's it going? How's your day? And liven up the moment for them, because you never know what that person is going through. And I always do that. Like if I see somebody who's in that kind of disgruntled form, right? I call it disgruntled because it's disgruntled. If they're in that disgruntled form, I always go, hey, how's it going? How are you? And I come with this positive energy because I want to fill their cup with something that's a little bit better than what they're feeling, right? Because they don't have to tell me how they're feeling. I can see it, right? So if I can see it, I'm going to go and go, hey, what's going on? Are you good? Oh my gosh, let's talk about it. If not, if they don't want to talk about it, just say something nice and move on. Okay? We're talking about body language. You see me expressive with my hands? That's gestures. I'm expressing my excitement about this conversation. I'm giving you life to the conversation. My smile, my eyes are lit. I'm looking at you. I'm talking to you. These are body languages, okay? And so even if I'm not talking and I'm like this, I'm interested. I want to know what you're doing. I want to know what you're feeling. I want to know how's your day, right? I'm speaking a lot. I'm interested and I'm listening. I'm actively listening. I always call that face the actively listening face. It's like, yes. Mm-hmm. It's the active listening face. I love it. Anyways, so I hope that you guys enjoyed this body language. Google it, inform yourself about other cues. I gave you the basic cues. I gave you some examples. I want you guys to pay attention, because even when you're not paying attention to other people, pay attention to how you are being perceived, right? Pay attention to how your body is talking for you. Because if you're saying one thing out of your mouth, but your body is saying another, somewhere in there you're being deceptive, right? Because if you're saying, let's say like this, if you're saying I love you to somebody, but your body is turned away and you're not eye contacting and you're not giving interaction, the person could probably think, hey, do you love me? Or are you okay? Is something wrong? Now, listen, a lot of this questioning if something's wrong or, are you okay? You don't have to do all that if you pay attention to body language, okay? If you pay attention to body language long enough and observe, then you can create the conversation that may open up the conversation for the person, right? It may open up the ability for that person to express how they're feeling and to express what they're going through, okay? Because sometimes people don't want to talk about their stuff, and if they're giving you the body language that they're in distress, ask nicely. If they respond that they don't want to speak, or if they don't respond at all, take it as a cue to step away and let them have their moment, okay? I love you guys, and I hope you enjoyed this one. I know it was like really fast and gone through, but I really enjoyed it, and I wish I could have given you more, but I wanted you to have just the context of it, okay? Body language is so much fun. It is so cool. Like if you go and you just Google some videos and look at what body language really has, how it really has effect on us, you will be surprised how you start to change and how you start to posture yourself different and how you start to move and talk with people. I enjoyed this conversation with you guys, and I truly believe that you're going to enjoy it too. Stay tuned for the next episode. I want you guys to like, follow, and subscribe and click here. And if you are listening, thank you so much. I love you and I love the fact that you come back. And I always look forward to your faces when you come back and your comments when you guys comment. I truly believe that this podcast has brought me outside of my comfort zone and it's created a space that I can be comfortable in and to express myself. And I'm hoping that the way I'm expressing to you, you are learning something, you are taking it in, and you are being Monday motivated, by the way. Don't forget to check in on those at 9 a.m. every Monday. I want you motivated. I want you informed. And I just want you educated. Like, this is what we're here for. I am here to educate you, to inform you, even if it's the same things that you're listening to online. I just want to give you my version of it, okay? Because my version could be the version that you take in and you go, oh, hey, I learned something. Because not everybody's learning something from somebody else that may be the same conversation, okay? I love you. And I want you to have a great week. And I'll see you next time on the next episode, okay? Bye bye.